All right, so this lesson is going to cover three different items. The first one is going to be static variables. The second will be static methods, and the third one will be overloading constructors and methods. So let's start off with the first one, static variables. So I'm going to create a new project, call it, I don't know, main customers. Okay. All right, main customers, I'll right click here, say new Java class, customers.
Good morning, Raptor.
Sorry about this, the bell's going.
If you'd like to say the pledge, please.
I'll let it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a great day, Raptor.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's get started now, for real. All right, so static variables, you can kind of think of them as almost like I tell students they're almost like global variables in web design. Let's just create a customer, right? So we got a customers, and our first customer will be Jim, and we're creating a new customer. Okay. So Jim is our object from the customers class, all right? So in customers, could have a couple different things here. Let's say we don't have static. Let's just say int num customers, and we set it to 0. Okay. And then we have public customers. So this is our constructor, and we'll just say num customers plus plus. Okay, and let's do a public int get num customers, and we will return num customers. All right, so once the object is instantiating created, the constructor gets called and 1 should be added to customer. So it's currently 0, so once this is called, num customer should be 1, and when we return it, 1 should be returned. So let's do that real quick. Jim dot get num customers, and we'll do a quick we'll print it to the screen, and we'll just say number of customers. No, I didn't, but I'll come in later because I'm making a video right now, right?
What I can get you on? What would you like? What size?
3x. All right. So, if I play this right now, oh, sorry, I'm making a video. So if I play this right now, it should print num customers 1, okay? Now, if I go real quick, and that's fine, that's what we're supposed to do, but let's say we want to keep track of the number of customers that are in our system, okay, that have signed up for our service or whatever. So we'll create Julie, she's a new customer, and John will be a new customer, and Jill will be a new customer. Okay. So if I run this, I've got 4 customers in my system, but Jim only knows the data of himself, right? He's the first customer, okay? But I've got 4 customers, so there's got to be a way to track that, and that's where static variables comes in. So if I put the word static in front of my variable num customers, now when I run this, okay, it's like it's looking at this in the background. There are 4 customers now, okay? And so what it's doing is it's basically, like I said, I kind of think about it as like a global variable where it's keeping track of all of our customers now, that every time they get created, you know, here this object's instantiated, this object's instantiated, this one and this one. Once all those are created, every time this customer's constructor gets called, num customers gets added up, and now it's 4. Okay, so that's static variables. Now I'm going to go on to static methods. So I'll create. Let's do main math tester. Okay. So statics is a pretty easy concept to understand. It's not that difficult. It's kind of nice to see how it works with the code. Main, where are we at? Math tester. Let me open this up. So right click, new Java class. We'll call it math tester. Finish. All right, so for this one, let's see here. All right, let's say we have a public double, and we want to do, let's say we want to do Fahrenheit to Celsius, so F to C. Okay, and we can do that, Fahrenheit to Celsius. All right, and so we will pass in an F variable. Okay, and we will return the calculation. Now I think this is the calculation to figure out the Celsius. Okay, so we're going to return 5.9 divided by 9.0 times F minus 32.0. I think that's correct. Okay, and then we could do another one called public double C to F, and we could pass in the Celsius, and it would return the Fahrenheit. So this one, I believe, is 9 times C divided by 5. We're going to make these all 0.0, so we don't have any issues with that. Plus 32.0. Okay, so real simple right there, okay? So if I go into my math tester, okay, let's say I say, I don't know, 10 degrees Fahrenheit is math tester dot F to C, and I will pass in 10 degrees to it. Okay. And let me type this one in real quick. Notice there's an error here, which there's supposed to be. 10 degrees Celsius is put the 10 degrees in there. All right, so non-static method F to C double cannot be referenced from a static context. Let's go back from when we first started. So in order to call a class's methods, you need to create an object from it. Unless it's a static method. So there's an error here because these methods aren't static. But if I go in to right here and I say public static double and public static double right there. Do my errors go away? Bam. And now I can run it. So basically, static methods allow me to call methods without instantiating an object from the class. And you see this whenever you're using the math. Whenever you're using the math methods like, let me see here. I believe, let's just look for them real quick. Math.pow. Let's look at, so if you want to find the absolute value, math.pow, that's to the power. You're taking a number to the power of something. There's math.pow, square root. Okay, so there's a bunch of different math, static math methods that you can just call, and then you don't have to instantiate the objects. So that's pretty easy and helpful if you're going to use something a lot and you don't actually want to create the object. You just want to use the method. So, all right, that's that. And finally, we'll look at this concept of overloading methods and constructors. So I'm going to say new project, and I'm going to call this one main shapes. Main shapes. Main square shapes. Okay. Main square shapes, and right click here and say new. We'll call it square shapes. Say finish. All right, so let's say I could have a square and I could have a cube. Okay, so let's go in here real quick. Public square shapes. There's a constructor, and we'll say my length is equal to 0 and my width is equal to 0. Okay. So often what you'll find is you'll find a constructor that doesn't accept anything, and it will either be blank, there'll be nothing in it, or you'll just define or you'll assign your variables to 0 in there. Okay. So we can say int my length and my width. Okay. But let's say we have a square where we want to be able to set our shapes. Square shapes. Okay. And we could do let's say an int length and an int width. And here my length equals length and my width equals width. All right, so basically what you've done there, or I've done, is I've created what's called an overloaded constructor. Okay, right here I can say square shapes, and we'll call this square 1 is equal to new square shapes. And I can say square shapes square 2 equals new square shapes, and I can pass in 4 and 5 to it. Okay. All right. So if I want to now test it out, system.out.println, and let's just print the square 1, and system.out.println. We're going to print square 2. And I'm also going to demo the toString method in here, because I'm not sure I've done that in any of my videos yet, but you can see it right here. So right here, square shapes, if I run this, this comes up as just this at whatever. That's because you're trying to display the object square shape. You want to display a string literal of it, so you can come down here and you can say public string to string, and you can return. And let's just say we want the length plus my length plus do a new line width plus my width, and then we'll do another new line height. All right, let's define my height real quick. Now, squares don't have height. Cubes do, though. So if I run this now, so the first one, length, width. So Java's smart enough, it looks at the parameters that are being passed in. This one has no parameters, and this has 2 parameters. They both call a constructor called square shapes. So Java goes, at runtime, Java goes, up, square shapes, this one has no parameters, use this for square 1. Up, this has 2 parameters, use it for square 2. Okay? And then all we do is just display a string literal of our objects, square 1 and square 2. Okay? So let's add some more functionality to this thing. Okay? We could also do something called, well, let's do this in here. Let's do this first. We could also do something that's like public square shapes, and we can pass in the int length, int width, and int height. Okay, and so this would be my length equals length, my width equals width, and my height equals height. Okay. Then we can do something like square shapes cube 1 equals new square and square shapes cube 2 equals new square shapes, and we could pass in on a 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and now we can do cube 1 cube 2. Okay, and so now let's look and see what we got here. Now we've got 4 objects displaying with the proper information that I had there. Okay, so again at runtime it's going up. This one has 0 parameters, this one has 3, so it goes okay, call this one and then call that one. All right, a couple more things. You know, maybe you want to do it's not just the parameters, it's also the number of parameters, it's also the data types themselves. So let's, you know, this is going to take a little bit more time, but let's go through this. All right, so we can have public int get area, and get area can get the you'd pass in the length and the width. Whoops. And it would return length times width. We could do public get area. Int length, int width, and int height. So then we would return the length times the width times the height. Okay. So again, the parameter numbers, but then again, we could also do something like this. We could copy this. And we can make it, let's say you want to have them with doubles. Okay. And we could copy and paste this one. So now it's smart enough now to go, all right, let's pass in a bunch of different ones now. So let's do this real quick. We can do this. We can say Control C, Control V. This will be square 3 and square 4. This will cube 3 and 4. And let's just assume that these are all blank. Okay. I'm going to do some copy and pasting to make it faster. All right, this is square 3, this is square 4, this is cube 3, and this is cube 4. So here we could say square 3 area dot get area, and we'll pass it in 4 and 4. This will be square 4 area. And this will be 4.5 and 4.5. This will be cube 3 and this will be get area, and I'll say 4 here and 4, and this will be cube 4 area. And be 4.5 comma 4.5 comma and 4.5. So again, it's smart enough to know, okay, it's like, okay, I've got doubles as my parameters. It's going to match it up to the ones with doubles right here. So if I run this, it should, okay, it's giving me all my doubles and ints, and we're good to go. So fairly easy concepts, but they're better when they're demonstrated and you can watch and see how they work. So practice those and get a hold of me if you have any questions. Thanks.